Hey gang, this is Mike with my Real Estate Dojo, and today's lesson is about lead priority. Okay, now before I explain that, I want to make sure I explain to you where I call lead to harvest process, and I have another video that talks about that. Now, the lead to harvest process is basically where you don't know who your customers are, so you do what's called marketing. So you may blanket an area with flyers, or you may do cold calling, or you may do some type of advertisement, and you're just blanking the area, okay? Or it might be a specific targeted list, it doesn't matter. So, but you don't know who your interest customers are. So step number one is marketing, okay? And in marketing, you're just hitting everybody up. Step number two is called what I call a lead. And a lead is when you target to a market area, you get a response back of interest. Like, hey, you know, for example, if you're an investor, somebody will call you and say, here's my address, I'm interested in getting a cash offer, or I'm interested in selling my home. So step number two is the people you targeted in step number one, some of them have raised their hands and says, hey, identified themselves, okay? Now, step number three is what I call potentials, okay? Where what happens is you continue contacting the people on step number two, which is leads, and you keep following up with them, going to their house, maybe giving them an offer. If you're a realtor, you know, you do your listing presentations. It just depends what your goals are and what kind of line of business you're in. But for an investor, you go up there, you take a look at it, and you give them an offer. So step number three is their potentials. They're very interested. They say they're going to think about it and get back with you. So these people are potentials, okay? Not only have they identified themselves as, hey, I need your services, but they're very highly likely to use your services and shown motivation towards your services. And step number four is when you actually, as an investor, as a realtor, you go out there and put it on the contract. The seller says, hey, I'm ready to hire you as my realtor, or I'm ready to hire you as my, not hire you, I'm ready to sell you my property as a real estate investor. So if you're a wholesaler at this time, you're basically getting the deal on the contract, okay? So that's 4 steps. Now, as you know, that this is not the 100% part. If you're a realtor, then you have to do the same exact process one at a time to find you a buyer if you're having a listing agreement. And if you're a wholesaler, you got to do this whole process again to your cash buyer or whoever your exit buyer is, okay? Retail buyer or cash buyer. And that's why I have a video called why real estate is like riding a bicycle, because you got the front wheel, the back wheel, and the front wheel represents the listings or getting the seller. The other one is the exit strategy. Okay, now coming back to the story of the lead to harvest process, I just talked about you're doing marketing, people identify themselves in your marketing target list, they become your leads. The ones that you keep following up with and they show more interest, you go maybe to their homes or you give them the offer, they become potentials. You keep following up with these people till they're able to say, yes, I'm ready to sign the contract. They become contracts, okay, or deals, okay. Now that you understand that process, now let's go back to the original question of what I talked about, lead priority. Notice that to get to number 4, where this is the probability of making the money, you got to go to number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So a lot of times my students, what I notice is that they don't understand lead priority. They don't understand that, you know, first they got to do the marketing, then it's going to become a lead, then the potential, then the deal. So they might be great marketers and they have like 50 leads to talk to. Out of the 50 leads, maybe some of them are in the level 1, some of them are in level 2, some of them are in level 3. And so what they do is they'll start with the level 1, making calls to the leads, or they'll start with level 2 and they won't get to the level 3, which is the potentials. And what happens is that's totally wrong. You wanted to put your energy on the level 3, which is the potentials, more than the level 1s or the level 2s, okay? Because you've already done the level 1 and level 2 and level 3. They're already closer to getting harvest. So if you have a lot of leads, okay, there's no reason to, or if you don't have a lot of leads, let's say you're cold calling, instead of cold calling, let's say you have some leads in level 3, which is potential, instead of getting on the phone and doing some more cold calling, which is level 1, you need to call back level 3s first, because they're almost ready to harvest. They're almost ready to get baked out of the oven. So you gotta pay more attention to them. Now, if you don't have anyone in level 2, level 3, then you gotta do just level 1, which is cold calling or marketing or an email blast or whatever, okay? But if you've already done level 1 and you have level 2 and you have level 3 and then people calling you in level 3, you better not get back to level 2 or level 1 until you service the level 3, because level 3 is almost time for them to graduate, which means money in your pocket, guys. Now, that sounds very simple, but I promise you, so many people don't do that. It's like they don't understand the priority of monetization, from marketing to monetization. You know, they have 10 leads in front of them. They don't know what is the most important lead they got to get to, okay? And some of these inquiries might even be like customer service inquiries, which is not like even monetization. So they're like, let me deal with this first instead of calling my level 3 leads. Now, if you're able to understand this principle, you're going to have tremendous amount of success, because you understand lead priority. And the same thing applies with your time. You have to prioritize your time whenever you're dealing with sellers, with your leads, with buyers, with your customers, and understand priority if you want to be successful in real estate investing, or as a business owner, as a realtor, as a sales rep. Because if you don't understand this, what you're going to be doing is doing a lot of running around, and you're not going to be as harvesting at the top producer, because you're putting level 1 priority in front of level 3, which is level 3 is right about to give you the contract. You're not returning these guys' phone calls, okay? So go out there and hustle and bustle. Don't listen to a naysayer, and give them a kiss and say thanks for the fuel, guys. See you later, gang.